Shalom, shalom, mishpocha, and welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. Today I'm going to be discussing laughter and longevity. Is there a connection? And if so, how? And if so, can we benefit from it? Proverbs 17:22 says, "A merry heart doth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." Perhaps this is where the common cliche or catchphrase has come from, that laughter is the best medicine. And every now and again you'll hear medical reports on television or the news saying that there's benefits to laughter, but perhaps maybe they're actually downplaying it a little bit. If you look at lives of comedians, usually comedy is born out of tragedy, and a lot of these comedians had a rough childhood or a rough upbringing, and many of their stories is truly rags to riches. You take, for instance, Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx and Buster Keaton, all of whom were in vaudeville and were very dirt poor to start out with, but ended up being millionaires and world famous and world recognized. And these men lived. They were born like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and lived all the way up until their 70s and 80s, and usually died around the 60s or the 70s, which by that time and by the medical standards of that day, they were actually considered old men. Today, we probably wouldn't consider them old men, because we're having a lot of people living way past 100 years old, and they're called let's see if I can pronounce this right. They're called centenarians, because they live past 100. And even a contemporary of Groucho Marx, George Burns, he was in vaudeville, and he was palling around with such guys as Jack Benny and Bing Crosby, and he died when he was 100 years old in 1996. And all of these guys were funny men. And all of these guys, they smoked, they drank, they had flings with wild women. Now, although I'm not condoning those vices, and I'm not saying that you can get away with living a long life by doing those things, take a look at Andy Kaufman and John Belushi, whose alcohol and drug use and wild women days caught up with them, and they weren't able to escape those things and died in their prime and died fairly young. But these other comedians, it's almost as if laughter and comedy surpassed genetics, and it was better than medicine, because they lived to a grand old age. Not only that, but positive mental attitude played a great role in their longevity, I believe, because to be born dirt poor, you had to have hope. You had to believe that things will get better and things can be better, because if they didn't have a mental attitude, with all the things they went through in their lives, these comedians probably would have died of ulcers and died fairly young, but they didn't. Let's also look at Proverbs 23:7a. It says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so he is," and that talks about the mental attitude. I know people make fun of it all the time by saying, "Now look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're great." Say, "I'm great, I'm wonderful, and people like me," kind of like Stuart Smalley, right? Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." Now, I'm no charismatic name it and claim it kind of guy saying, "Oh God, please, claim that Cadillac in Jesus' name." I'm not condoning that either, but I'm saying, you know what? I can do this. With God's help, with the Lord's help, I can do this. In having a positive mental attitude, you speak life into yourself when you say you can do things, because you say it long enough, you actually believe it and you do it. Now, even more can be said for the believer. Why can't we see believers in Yeshua Ha Moshiach, Torah Observant believers who don't smoke or drink, surpass 100 years old? I'm sure that we can. Nehemiah 8:10b says, "For the joy of Yahweh is your strength." Psalm 128, it says, "When Yahweh turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dreamed. Then was our mouth filled with laughter." They were just so happy because of what Yahweh has done for them. Now, I know you'll also see in the charismatic movement what's called holy laughter. I'm not going to down that or anything, because I've just been so giddy and so happy with counting the blessings of Yahweh that I've actually erupted in laughter, and it felt good. Think about what laughter does to you. Laughter is a great cardiovascular exercise. It exercises the heart and the lungs. It exercises your diaphragm and your stomach muscles. I mean, haven't you ever laughed so hard sometimes that your stomach hurt and your side hurt? Because you're working those muscles, because you're laughing so hard. Now think of what Yeshua Ha Moshiach said in John 10:10. It says, "The thief cometh not for to steal and to kill and to destroy. But I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly, or you might have it to the full." So as Torah observant believers in Yeshua Ha Moshiach, let's walk in joy, let's walk in laughter, and let's show the world how great a Torah observant life in Yeshua Ha Moshiach, how joyful and fun it can be. Let's show that to the world. Shalom and Shavua Tov.